My name is Srividya, and I'm a career counselor and psychologist, so we can go forward. You know my journey. I have a doctorate in psychology. Initially, my life was a puzzle. I didn't know what to do. All my life, from the time I was 5 years till about 15, I thought I will be a doctor, which I am, but a different type of doctor now. And it took me some time to make that decision that, I don't want to do pure medicine and do an MBBS. It was a journey. There was confusion. My parents were worried. My siblings wondered what happened to me. Pretty much what many students I see that they are going through even now today. Okay, so what did I do? I did a bachelor's in psychology. I went on to do a master's. I worked for a while in the IT sector because I used to love to write. I'm a creative person and I did a lot of teaching. Online teaching has come of age today. I did my first job in online teaching back in the early 90s. And I didn't know at that point in time that today I will be talking about that role. I used to always think, oh, is this something mainstream? Is this nice? I'm not sure, but let me try it out. So that's how I started my journey. And I got very interested in organizational and social psychology because I was working with an organization that grew like from 20 to about 150 in a few weeks. No, sorry, a few months. So that became a very interesting journey for me. So I went on to become a human resources consultant. I worked with the so-called Big Five, PricewaterhouseCoopers. I traveled, I attended many client meetings, sat through with CEOs, understood their business problems, did the root cause analysis, sat down with corporate HR. You know what is called the so-called extremely glamorous consulting career. I went there and I did that. And I still started to feel that there was something else that I wanted to do. I wanted to make a difference to individuals and people. I was always good at teaching. I was always good at counseling. I went back to do a PhD. And alongside my PhD, which I did in organizational change, I also taught. I taught at Delhi University. I went abroad. I was in Singapore for a few years. So I taught there at James Cook University. I taught at Amity a few years back. And of course, at the higher secondary level, I've also taught at Shivnagar School as of last year. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter if the person is in Singapore or in India, in a metro or a non-metro, in a government university or a private university. I still see that about 60 to 70% of students who join courses are not sure why they are joining them, or they're joining them for reasons wherein they are pretty clear that they are not going to make a career in this, but they're doing it because, you see, it seems like the okay thing to do. It seems like the safe thing to do. Their parents or somebody whom they really rely on has guided them towards it. And that's fine. That's fine if they are happy. The really path-breaking thing for me was when I was teaching, I think, career planning for a cohort of 450 computer science students over different batches. That 80% of them didn't want to make a career in computer science. They were there because it was seen like the hot career, the best thing to do. Everybody thinks you can really earn a good job and make a lot of money out of it. So they joined. And 3-4 years, I met them one semester before they passed out. They were a very frustrated lot. So that's what drove home the point for me that I need to try and see if I can make a difference here at this stage or earlier, so students can go through a far more reflective process of choosing subjects, choosing careers and planning. It's not something wherein, I forecast or I write a horoscope, no. But if we can reflect, think, and become more aware, I think that's a huge leap forward from what I see the current situation in many schools and with many students and with many colleges. So that's the philosophy with which I started Life Vidya. And that's the reason I'm speaking to all of you here. So thank you for having me. It's great to see you all on a Saturday morning. And I really hope that you'll enjoy and also, learn from what I have to share today. And I am definitely going to learn from this experience. Do I have the permission to carry on?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about why today. Huda ma'am already said that things are changing. Currently, the environment is changing a lot. And what is it that's causing a lot of change? To me and to a lot of people I hear about, technology has been one of the major catalysts of this change. We didn't have computers running offices when I was small. By the time I reached college, computers were in most places. Many people who were doing manual clerical work had to take voluntary retirement because you see, their systems, their work was automated. That was 20 years back. Then we had more automation. Now, none of you have ever seen a situation wherein there are no cell phones in the home. Most of you will own smartphones. You need it also as of today because of the way education is also being conducted. So if you see, almost everybody is talking about how artificial intelligence is going to take over many, many jobs. And that's the truth. At least that's the forecast if we continue in this way. So, because technology is such a powerful force of change, and it's not something that you and I have to control or can control, we have to constantly keep our eye out and see as to is our role or is what we are doing something that is actually adding value which cannot be automated. And I'm really saying this because this is one of the key questions that we have to ask ourselves. I know it's very advanced for many of you, but let me put in that seed today. So what is it that artificial intelligence cannot do? It cannot behave, talk, and feel like a human being, which is why people skills and social skills today are being talked of much more than technological skills. It's because AI is taking over. Let me talk a little bit more. All of us know about the NEP, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And for many people, it was a shock. For many people, they still don't know what to do. If I read the policy, I read it a few months back, I read it some weeks back. I also went through some parts of it this morning before I met you, before I planned to meet you. And I see the policy as basically being very progressive. Imagine a situation wherein you can study chemistry along with geography at the higher secondary level. It was unthinkable of. So you see, many of the drawbacks, like when we, even now, if somebody wants to do, say, nutrition and become a dietitian, and if they have taken home science in the 11th and 12th grade, it'll come as a surprise to those of you who don't know. Their marks in home science, which has a paper in nutrition, are not even considered in the better colleges. When they try to apply for a BSc in home science, the aggregate marks that are taken are physics, chemistry, and biology. So when policies, there is no backward integration. The subject has been offered at the CBSE level at +2, but the Delhi University colleges haven't backwardly integrated their admission criteria to include students who took that subject even in the 11th and 12th. And it's the same for many other courses. So with the policies changing and becoming more reformatory, becoming more integrated, I am actually hoping that this will be a sweep wherein all of you students will benefit. So let's say somebody wants to become an architect. Now, currently, that person has to do physics, chemistry, and maths. Now, tell me, how important do you think chemistry is for an architect?
It is not important.
Yeah. And you see, that is where the frustration starts building in. It's not important. What about people who want to become geographical information? Do you know of GIS specialists? Have you all have come across Google Maps? Dekha hai na? Kahin na kahin jate hue
Yes.
navigate. Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
Yes.
those maps are actually created by GIS specialists, geographical information systems, which is what? It's a mix of geographical knowledge and computer knowledge. which is merged together to give you that updated status of the topography of a place, of how to navigate, of what to do. Now, if a person did geography honors a few years back, people would say, what are you going to do? But imagine the future where you can study geography along with computer science and mathematics at the 11th and 12th grade. It's a phenomenal combination to have, provided you know why you are taking it and you know what you're going to do with it. So I feel with this policy level change, it becomes two things. One, you have the flexibility to choose your subjects, and I think that's wonderful. Two, you have to be responsible for choosing your subjects with awareness based on what your skills are, what your interests are, what your strengths are, and what is it that you want to do later. So please realize it's a two-way street. It's a brilliant choice if you think through it. And that's why it helps to start reflecting and building awareness. And I think this is a wonderful time for all of you students and children to start doing that. And I'm very happy these changes are being done. Yes, I do know some of us are nervous. I'm also nervous. There may be hiccups. There may be some challenges. Any new thing will have some challenges, but that's fine. Let's see this as one of the most progressive educational reforms that we have seen in the last, I don't know how many years. Okay, so students, today we need to look at subjects and choices even more because there are policy level changes. We can't just take it for granted that we will do this and then dekhi jayegi. Are you with me? Am I making any sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
अच्छा, आपको बोरिंग लग रहा है?
Not at all.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
अच्छा ठीक है,
No, ma'am.
चलो आगे बोरिंग लगेगा तो बता देना, ठीक है? Okay. And there's one more. Environment. Who would have predicted this pandemic? None of us. None of us knew it was coming. And none of us knew that it was going to take so long. So you see, we are in a place where technologically, at the policy and at the environment, we are constantly foreseeing change. Some changes we are able to predict, and some we are not able to predict. So what this means, children, for all of us, is that we have to be very flexible with our mindsets. We have to start seeing things as a cyclical chain. Okay, this is what we are doing now, but things may look different tomorrow. So I really believe that for all of us here, all of us, whether we are 15 or we are 65 and wanting to work more, I also have to go through a shift in career mindsets. You have to go through a shift in how you select your subjects. Your parents who are working will go through many shifts in their organizations and jobs. Every career is going to go through quantum level shift. Some will change completely. Some will become obsolete. Many new options will get created. And the biggest thing that I see happening is that there may be situations wherein you may find yourself reinventing your career, which means you start off being something and 7-8 years later you find that, okay, this particular service does not really have a market, or I'm not really able to meet a need. I need to now reskill and become something else. Now let me take you to 40 years back. People joined jobs literally for life. Maybe in 15-20 years, some of them changed. But mostly job security was key. If there was something that was key, it was job security. Then came our generation. Mostly we tried to follow one career, maybe 2 careers maximum, and maybe a few jobs. Then comes the coming generation, wherein we are not just looking at jobs from one organization to the other. कि marketing की नौकरी थी, आपने shift करके दूसरे organization में दूसरी marketing की नौकरी ले ली. नहीं. You may have to fundamentally reskill, learn and see as to what else you can do What is the other service that you can provide? And many of us and many people outside in the environment are going through this. Talk of hospitality today. Post-COVID, it has taken a huge hit. Because you see, the hotel industry was doing very well till a year back. But it's not now. So many of these people who are from that industry are learning, skilling, and possibly taking on different types of roles based on their strengths, not based on their qualifications, but based on what is the key learning that they derived. So if they're in hospitality, they are good with people. They are good with communication. If they're at the managerial level, they're good with coordination, they're good with planning. So pick up all those skills. The sector doesn't matter. That shift, that flexibility is going to become critical as we move forward, children. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Don't be scared. It's all
Yes, ma'am.
exciting. It's all exciting, and it's actually something that a lot of you would find stimulating rather than being stuck in a job all the time. The only thing is that you have to constantly learn and put effort. That is what is critical. So we'll proceed. Now, in the next few slides, I have tried to break it up based on my knowledge and my understanding into careers that have a scientific temper, a business temper. That doesn't mean that, science is separate, humanities is separate, commerce is separate. No, I'm not looking at it like that, but I'm doing it in terms of a categorization so it's easy for us to understand. Okay, so see it only from that perspective.